For the last few years, right wingers have ramped up their culture wars by claiming that schools and libraries were, you know, uh, grooming and sexualizing children. I'm not kidding. They then sought to ban books, all books, with topics that would concern racism or books that would feature characters who are LGBTQ plus. Again, this has been happening all over the country. However, some good news in South Carolina. In one county, it appears that the community has banded together to defeat GOP censorship. Hell yes. So now, after a debate, the 12-member Greenville County Council in South Carolina voted 9-3 in order to keep LGBTQ books accessible to children at public libraries. Awesome. So now, this originally started with City Councilor Joe Dill, who proposed a resolution. Joe Dill, of course, is a Republican who lost his primary. He will not be maintaining his seat, thank goodness. He proposed requiring the 12-location library system in the area to remove books that he claims was promoting sexuality from all children's sections. So, promoting sexuality, right? Well, when you put it in very, very vague terms like that, well, obviously nobody's in favor of promoting sexuality to children, right? Of course. However, words don't mean anything to the Republicans anymore, to right-wingers doing the culture wars. And so what they'll do is be like, oh, yeah, you know what? You're doing critical race theory because you talked about how black people were once slaves. Well, they were. Oh, I bet next you're going to say that the Civil War was about slavery and not states' rights. States' rights to do what? To do what, motherfucker? States' rights for what? To keep slaves. Words don't mean anything anymore. It just doesn't. So understand that when they talk about how, oh, these books are promoting sexuality or
sexual anarchy,
they just mean it talks about the existence of gay and trans people and non-binary people. That's it. That's all it does. So, or anything that it mentions gender identity, which exists. We all have an identity. I have a gender identity. It's cisgender, which just means that my inside, right, matches the out. I identify as a male, and I present as a male. That's very, very simple concept. That's it. But understand that, like, when people who are ignorant or bigoted or hateful, they talk about when they talk about gender, when they talk about sexuality, they tend to conflate the two different things all the time. Now, the resolution that Dill had presented was seeking to, quote unquote, protect the innocence of children and would require libraries to submit reports to the county council detailing how such books have ever found their way into the children's section and what measures have been put into place to ensure such oversights do not occur in the future. That sounds like real small government right there. And that sounds like very much not censorship at all. Oh, wait. I meant the opposite in both. Controversy over LGBTQ books in the county began in September when the Greenville County GOP unanimously passed a resolution in favor of banning those books from the children's section of libraries. State reported at the time that Greenville County GOP Chair Jeff Davis said it was important to prevent kids from being, quote unquote, indoctrinated by books. Here's what he said. Kids can't buy a beer until they're 21. Should they be able to access these books before a certain age without parental consent? I think not. And that should be reasonable. Wait, what's reasonable? Again, these are not pornographic books. These are not sexually explicit books. They're just books that, again, have a gay character. Ooh, oh no, it's a gay character. Again, it is a faulty proposition, too, that if a child reads a book about a gay person or with a gay character or with a trans character or about a trans character, that they will suddenly become trans and gay. No, it doesn't work like that. Anybody who thinks so, you're not living in reality. Look, I read a lot of Star Wars books as a kid. I wasn't indoctrinated into becoming a Jedi. I read Lord of the Rings. I'm not a hobbit. I didn't become a hobbit. The whole thing's ridiculous. And besides, chances are that if you were drawn to LGBTQ books, well, it's very likely that you either have already had those feelings and you're looking to understand them a little bit better, or you know someone who is gay or trans and you're looking into it and, you're trying to understand them better. Books don't turn you gay. And by the way, it's funny because gay people read books about straight characters all the time. That doesn't turn them straight. I read the Bible, didn't turn me into a Christian. In fact, it did the opposite in that case. It has a tendency to do that sometimes. But look, the report, getting back to the book, to the story here, the report says the GOP became especially concerned in June when the library displayed LGBTQ books in honor of Pride. Oh no, Pride! Terrible! Among the books they reportedly worried about was a book about a girl and her dads called Daddy and Dada. Ooh, oh no. Tio's Tutu about a boy who does ballet. Oh my God. Terrifying.
Sexual Anarchy.
Pride Puppy about a puppy who goes to a pride parade. And Sex is a Funny Word, which is a education book designed for kids that also teaches about different types of families. Now, none of those seem inherently wrong or terrible or bad. And yes, you can teach younger people about sex without, being explicit and keeping things age appropriate. And look, I think the way that it happens now, is a lot better than, for example, when I was growing up. You didn't have good sex ed where I came from. Okay. No, usually like the first, I don't know, usually, people back from when I was growing up kind of found out about that stuff by accidentally finding magazines, certain magazines. But with the internet, it's now even more stupidly easy to find that material. So I think it would be best for people to have actual, an education about this, because a lot of the stuff that they find on the internet or magazines is fiction. Now, what's also dumb is the idea that kids, since the internet exists, right, that they would go to the library instead to find this stuff. No. Come on. Do you know anything? Really? Now, let's get to the council debate, which is fun. So now there's obviously a heated back and forth. One woman, Susan Ward, who's the parent of a gay son, emphasized how important it is for her son to be able to see himself in literature that he reads. Quote, "All of us worry about our children. I worry because my child has been subjected to hate and discrimination." Unfortunately, you had the vice chair showing exactly that type of hate and discrimination and why these books are important. In fact, this vice chair basically would say the word barf when someone would say that they were gay during this meeting. Just an example of how classy this very adult, mature person, showed. Now, there's another person there who is a librarian who is against banning of the books. Also spoke at the meeting. This is Ashley Snellgrove. She explained that the library already thinks very hard about what books are available to children. And beyond that, she says, look, kids under 11 are always supervised anyway, so they don't take books that are above, their age or reading level. So, what's the issue? Well, I think the issue here is, and it's very clear, this is not about protecting children. It's about hating the other. It's about othering gay people and trans people. That's it. Look, again, as I mentioned before, there are people out there that believe that being gay or trans is literally the worst thing that could happen to somebody, and then they go around trying to make it true. Well, you're the problem. That's the problem. These people are ignorant, closed-minded, bigoted, and worse, full of hate for things that they don't understand, and have no effect on their lives whatsoever. But the good thing is that they're not in the majority, which is why they have to lie and to claim that they're protecting the kids. Everybody cares about children. But in reality, they're only protecting their abilities to bully other people and get away with it. And I'm glad that this, library district shut that down and kept being open and inclusive.